What's up, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm kicking off a new series that is spotlighting Edmond North alumni that work in film, broadcast, and creative industries. So today, I'm joined by James Kerr, who is a good friend of mine and a graduate from North from 2007.
2007.
Yeah. James, you've worn like a lot of hats in the entertainment industry. So starting out mostly with modeling and acting, and more recently you've done a little bit of producing, writing, and directing as well. So a lot of different things.
Yeah,
So we'll get into all of that, but just want to say thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here, man. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Crazy being back.
I was going to say, is it weird being back?
I think whenever I was a junior here, my parking spot was like right where we're sitting. It was just right in front of the band room, and this whole wing, and even more so towards the west end of the school, wasn't even there. The stadium, the parking area, it's just pretty wild to be back in where I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever think when you were a student here that you'd get asked back by a teacher to talk to students?
No. I mean, I was just, you knew me. I was like the skater drummer kid who just wanted to more or less be left alone. But it's so funny that now I'm like have to be extroverted with obviously my job and just day-to-day life. So yeah, but it's pretty wild being back, man.
No, for sure. Tell me a little bit about your time at North. Like, what kind of stuff were you into?
Oh gosh, taking it back. I was really into music. I'm a drummer, and really that was my main passion in high school. I was in drumline 2 years here. It mainly was just focused on drums and percussion and music. I didn't even think about film really. I loved going to the movies, but that was kind of my where it stopped. Even with theater, like I did a couple plays for like the church I went to, and even in middle school, but nothing that really brought me to where I am now. So in high school, it was funny. Does Miss Alt or Tipton still work here? Is she here?
I'm gonna feel bad if she is, but I don't.
Because she was my algebra 2 teacher. And
yes,
she
is still here.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Tipton.
But she had us write. It was the junior senior year. Had us write like a letter to ourselves 5 or 10 years ago, or from then. And I recently got it within like the past couple of years, and just reading it, it was saying like, what are our goals? What do we want to do with our time through college or first jobs and whatnot, and it was completely different from what I do now. So it's just funny to think like, it was like, I hope to be like signed to this record label, and I hope to be touring around the world as a drummer, and I mean that also sounds awesome for sure, but now I'm just more or less touring around the world with acting jobs.
Yeah.
So.
But you have the ambition.
Yeah,
for sure. That shows with you. You wanted to do something different.
Oh yeah. I wanted to do something out of the box, and I just didn't want to sit at a desk.
Yeah,
that was the main goal.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how did you actually get into acting then, not doing it in high school?
Oh gosh. Well, being a drummer, I love to perform. But I could only really perform if there was like a barrier in front of me, like the drum set. Like if that wasn't there, then I was just a sweaty mess, which I already feel like I am right now because it's summer in Oklahoma almost. But it was mainly I just wanted to gain more self-confidence and just be much more outgoing, and just do something creative still. And so I went to 1 year at UCO. I did theater there, and I sort of liked it. I just didn't really know if that was what I wanted to do. And then I made the move to LA with just wanting to do film production or acting in mind. And then that's kind of where I guess we're going to lead into the next.
Yes. Well, and so that's one of the things that I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Like when you made the move, like did you have much lined up out there, or you just dropped everything and?
I didn't know a soul. Which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
That's
My grandpa would come out a couple times a month maybe, just for his job. And so I would see him every now and then, so that was refreshing. But I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any credits. I did like a 2-week long class at Chris Freihofer's workshop. I think it's now called the Actor Factory, but it wasn't there. And I think it's either in Norman or OKC. I'm not sure exactly where that school is. But yeah, I just wanted something different and new view out the window, I guess. So, yeah.
What was that like super early on in LA, like trying to get your first gigs, making a way of it?
Yeah, it was. I don't want to say it was tough because I just didn't know anything. It was in a way like my cluelessness of everything was kind of beneficial because there were people there that were willing to help, and I knew I wanted to try acting or modeling or just film production, and I had hair pretty much past my chest. And I walked into a modeling agency, and they ironically thought I had a great California look, being within 2 weeks in LA, and that's kind of where it snowballed.
So when you first got out there, like, how did you feel like you fit in with like LA culture and everything?
Man,
people glamorize it, and
they
always
do.
Felt you're super grounded in it.
Yeah.
Despite like getting to do really cool like actor things in LA, like you're still you.
Yeah. It was that kind of in mind. I maybe like how I was raised and the values, but I mean, yeah, I was taken back by like the big houses and then seeing famous people and all just the stuff that you see in movies and TV all the time, just right outside your window as you're passing by. And it was overwhelming at first, just how massive it is. But I just knew I wanted to find like a good group of friends and just a good community, which it's funny because Oklahoma, the thing I miss the most about Oklahoma is the community, because you can know, everybody knows each other in some sort of a way. Like, oh, well, you're friends with so-and-so, who knows so-and-so. But in LA, it's hard, it's because it's so massive, and it's kind of a selfish city in a way where everybody's really kind of out for themselves. But in these little pockets, you can really find people that are willing to help and are grounded as well. But whenever I first moved out there, it was more like I just saw it as fun, not in an egotistical way. I just wanted to experience that. But I'm also still a bit of an introvert whenever it comes to like too much. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to my place, or I'm gonna go to the beach and just get my head clear. So yeah, I think it's just, it's fun to do that, but just know when to walk away from it too.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned like finding friends and stuff. Like moving to any new city is hard to meet new people.
Yeah.
Like, were the people that you met early on like also in the industry? Are you still in touch with those people? Like, what's that been?
Funny enough, like most of my friends out there aren't in the industry. In a lot of ways, that's kind of nice, because I do have friends in the industry, of course, but they're not like the friends that I really go to hang out with all the time, because you kind of got to get away from it a little bit. I feel like, and that's in a way I think is important to feeling grounded, is knowing when, like I said, to walk away from just the lights and the cameras, and then just kind of just being present. And that's a lot of what acting teaches you too, is just being present. But a lot of my friends I found just at the beach or at bowling alleys or just random places that you could just find pretty much in any big city, that there's people there that you share common interests with, whether it's film, whether it's surfing, whether it's drums, and then you just find them. But it is tough to find them. But you just got to be willing to be open. Yeah.
Without asking you kind of like directly about money in the early days, like what was that like trying to make a career out there, make ends meet really?
Yeah, that was tough. You just got to be willing to do almost any job. I mean, with an asterisk. I mean, don't do anything that you know you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't be too good to work at McDonald's in a sense. I mean, if you know what I'm saying. I worked so many crappy jobs, whether it was retail or with food or just going on Craigslist and then just mowing people's yards or being a pool boy. So you just got to really be willing to work. And fortunately for me, that's when I'm the happiest, is whenever I'm working. Obviously it depends on the job, but I'm just happy to stay busy. And so many people come out there thinking like, oh, well, whenever I walk into Hollywood, like doves are gonna come out of each door I exit, and like people are gonna throw flowers at my feet. It's like, no, nobody's gonna care. You're gonna have to work your butt off from just the dirt up and be willing to be humble in the sense of jobs, whether that's like background work at first, or even just being like a guy holding a boom mic for a student film. Because you never know who you're gonna meet along those ways. Like whenever I first joined SAG in 2014, and AFI, which is the big film school in LA, they worked through SAG to basically give like the students experienced actors rather than just pulling them off the street to work on their projects. But a lot of people are still like, well, you're doing a student film, James? Like, what are you doing? I mean, you did Criminal Minds last month. Why are you doing a student film? Like, because I never know where these kids are going to be. And then sure enough, like one of the producers of the short films that I did with them, she became one of the top producers at Blumhouse, which they do like Insidious and Paranormal Activity and Annabelle and all those big horror films. But you never know where somebody's going to be. But there's so many people who are not willing to just do a quote unquote crappy job, but you never know where somebody could end up in the next few years. So I always just try to get myself out there. And that's what I tell everybody else to do.
Yeah. So you mentioned like it was only a couple weeks that when you first got out there that you started to have conversations with modeling.
Yeah.
Was that something that like how did it work with getting representation for like modeling, acting? Like there's so many facets of like different people you work with.
Yeah. So that was the first big step into the larger world of this. Was I was fortunate enough to get signed to a pretty big modeling agency. It was a Ford modeling agency where they're internationally known, and so many connections. And I was with them for about 6 months before they asked if I wanted to do commercials. And I was like, sure. I mean, that sounds awesome. Love to do that on the side. It's totally different from film acting in the sense where it's just much more like improvisation and much quicker pace. Mm-hmm. But through them, I got the commercial agent. Was with the commercial agent for a while. I booked stuff for like 7-Eleven commercials and TJ Maxx and stuff. So I had some success with them.
Wasn't that one too where like because you could skateboard, like you got a few gigs where they legitimately needed someone who could skateboard.
There was one for PacSun that I did. But yeah, and then through that I got a manager, and then the manager was the one who got me into film and television acting, or as far as like the auditions, and then finally getting co-stars, lead to guest stars, lead to reoccurring, lead to film. So my story is a little different, where a lot of people will go to workshops that talent reps will put on to find new talent, or they'll submit their material, whether it's a demo reel or some sort of just hopeful shout out, just throw it in the air and see where it lands. But mine, like I said, I had the long hair, and then that kind of got me into the modeling world, and I was fortunate enough that was a big enough agency that had the pull to really bring in some good people with the rest of my rep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Early on, did you think that was it sort of like a grind to like each next thing, or were there like any moments that you like look back on and you're like, that was kind of a break,
It's always been a bit of a grind, except the only time that I'd say was a bit of a break was whenever I just got into the modeling agency, because I didn't realize how big that agency was at the time. I was just like, oh, cool. I'm with a modeling agency. I'm gonna make some money and not have to work a crappy job for a little bit. But since then, it's been a lot of hills and valleys, and as metaphoric as this sounds, there's been a lot of valleys, but each hill has been so good in the sense that kind of pushes you through the rest of the hardships of the valleys in the sense. But and then every now and then you'll book something that'll open up a whole new door, and it is a break, but it didn't come without hard work.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I'd say only at the beginning. I was very fortunate I moved out within a month of being there. I got into it. So, but like I said, everybody's story is different, and that doesn't happen to everyone.
Yeah,
so.
of course.
You're gonna go out there with long hair. I mean, like who knows? I just had the right look for the right time.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. So fast forwarding a little bit, like looking at where you are today, like all the roles that you've played, is there anything that just like really stands out that you're like, that was super fun, like either the role or like the people you got to work with?
Oh yeah. There's been a good amount. One of my favorite ones was a Marvel show that I did called Agent Carter, where it was like a spin-off of Captain America. So it was like so many amazing World War II pieces, and they gave us the costumes and the weapons, and we were with the people who were in the Marvel movies, and it was just such like an amazing atmosphere. I mean, it's Disney and Marvel, so I mean, they just had more money than God to work with. So there were explosions and blood packs and all sorts of cool things to be involved in. And then another World War II film I did was about the Battle of Midway. Did a couple years ago, where they built this massive plane. It's called a PBY. It's a rescue plane that lands on the water. And just kind of going into the sound stages and looking around and seeing just this environment you're going to be engulfed in for the next month or so. And so yeah, usually anything with practical effects I love. And then I worked with most of the crew on Criminal Minds, who were super awesome. And but one thing that's been kind of fun about a lot of the people that I've worked with, like a lot of the TV stars, is finding out how humble most of them are. Because you think like, oh, like actors are assholes or filmmakers or whatever. And if you're willing to learn and you show up prepared, they're gonna respect you. I did a movie actually here in Guthrie. It's called Awake. It's out on Netflix, where I play like a serial killer, which was super fun too. But it had Francesca Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's daughter, in it, and then Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who played Henry VIII on The Tudors, which was the show that really amped HBO to get Game of Thrones going. And I mean, he was Golden Globe winner. She's from Hollywood royalty. And it was really cool during the middle of that to kind of be accepted by these people who had done these immense things or come from these immense families. And yeah, it's really just all about showing up with a good attitude and good work ethic, and just not being afraid to admit you're wrong, or willing to learn, or just take a risk. So
yeah,
I'm just rambling again.
No, with that one, I can't remember if you just mentioned it, but that film in Guthrie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that like? Like, Guthrie is kind of a destination for like a lot of like westerns and stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was downtown Guthrie. This one took place just in present day, but they wanted the sort of more middle America, rural, small town feel, which was perfect for. The main areas that I shot in was just this little house that was just north of downtown Guthrie, and it was great because I mean, like, they had like the big cranes and the big trailers, and it looked like a movie set you'd see in LA. Yeah. So it was really kind of neat because I mean, we're from Edmond, just to go a few miles north and then see in your hometown this massive amount of film equipment and people that had been flown in from New York and LA, like the the DP was the DP for like the first 4 seasons of American Horror Story. So it's just really cool to be like, oh my gosh, like these are people that have been around the block. So,
super legit.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
said, just a few miles up the road.
Exactly. Yeah. Combined with fellow Oklahomans. So yeah.
I think it was about 5 years ago that you worked on Culpability, which was one you wrote, directed, starred in. I think did it premiere at Dead Center?
It did,
too?
yeah.
Yeah. So what was that whole experience like for you?
It was great in the sense that it was basically my film school. I obviously, whenever we went here, we didn't have this amazing wing of the school to learn about film and production. And even whenever I was later teen years, about to move, just Oklahoma didn't have at the time too much film education at all. I mean, I may be wrong, but it was really eye opening. I learned so much, mostly about what not to do. One of the things was it was a short film. I just wanted to tell a story and really not worry about time frame, which I should have because it's close to 30 minutes long. Obviously, that's like kind of long for a short, too short for a feature. So it was kind of hard to squeeze it into festivals because within that time they could show 4, 5 other shorts maybe. But I was really happy with how well it turned out, with how much I didn't know at the time. One thing that I really learned was really got to have a shot list. Really got to have like a tight and loose budget, and meaning like your budget, you need to like know it immensely, but it's got to be loose enough for mistakes. And that I don't want to do everything.
Yeah, that's right.
It was just a lot. Like I'd love to direct again or be in something that I wrote again. I wouldn't want to do all of it because all that on the shoulders, especially whenever it was my first thing, I learned a lot. I don't want to say it was the smartest move, but thankfully it came out watchable.
Definitely. No, I enjoyed it. I remember seeing it at Dead Center.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the link. I think that it may have even been in a block that was called like Okie Media.
It was, yeah. Thankfully that year they had a place for it as or like a designated category. Yeah.
That's great. So I think that you've had at least one other short that you wrote, right?
Yeah,
That's the only one you've directed.
Yeah. That was one I wrote one that we basically just did it for a competition, but it turned out way better than we thought it was going to. And that one was about 3.5 minutes long. It was about a burglar. It's called Felon. It's about a burglar who is in a house, and whenever he's in there, the couple comes home and he starts witnessing a domestic violence incident, and he is torn between whether he should get out with what he has or interfere and possibly save a life. So that one, I learned with the length, it's going to be seen by a lot more people.
Yeah.
That one went to over 40 festivals.
That's awesome.
And 7 of them internationally, and it won. I think 7 as well within that, and not counting like the best. I think it was up for the actress that was in it was up for best actress, and I think 14 of the festivals it was in.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a really good learning curve too, just with knowing because with that one we had like no budget. With Culpability, I had a good chunk of money, so it was just kind of funny to think like, yeah, you can. This is what you can do with a good chunk of money. It's more you're buying time mostly. Mm-hmm. Unless you obviously want to put in more effects and whatnot, but yeah. So I'm happy that I've learned with both a longer short and a shorter short, which one I want to go for.
That's one of the things too that we'll see in student films, like just projects that they do for class. Even it's like. It's really hard to tell a compelling story in 3.5 minutes.
Yes.
You hit on it with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough though to set up like who your characters are and establish conflict and give some resolution to that conflict in a fast way. So the natural inclination when you're writing stuff is you're probably going to write something that's more like 30 minutes. So
yeah.
Did you find, like, having gone through that there was anything that you learned that, like, how to set that up faster and get through your plot in a compelling way?
Yes, mainly just simplicity. I just learned that simplicity is the most engaging thing that you can ask for in a story. Even with complex movies, like at the root of it, it's simple. So a lot of people will try to just add on, rather than saying, like, what is the bare minimum? And I've told, because I've read so many scripts from friends, and I worked as a reader for a cast director a couple of years ago, and that was like my main critique was, like, they're just trying to pack in too much. If they just make it simple and just stick to what the character's main objective is, or what the story's trying to traject to the audience, then that's going to be much more engaging. So simplicity is key.
So on kind of that note of more of your, like, writing credit there, like, is that something that you want to keep pursuing? You said you don't want to do them all at once, but, like, do you have any projects you're working on right now?
I wrote a movie. You're gonna kind of like this, because it's called Emotion, and it's about the emo scene in the mid 2000s. It follows an emo girl who is lonely and is searching for love, and she finds love, but love isn't who we personified him at all. He's a very, like, interesting version of love, and she tells him, or he tells her, that if she helps him pull out the arrows out of people that have fallen out of love, then she'll get her arrow to give to whoever she wants. So it's kind of, it'll be kind of a satire to that time, like whenever we were in school. And so it'd be fun. I've kind of pitched it as, like, Mean Girls meets Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
So,
but you were saying that would be like a feature.
It'd be a feature. I want to tackle a feature first. I don't know if I want to direct it, but definitely would want to produce it, possibly be in it. And I'm going to transition into saying this, that one of the things I've learned too is to not be married to anything. That at the end of the day, you should just worry about what's best for the project. Because I've known so many people that have basically ruined a project by either wanting to have this specific scene in it, or this line, or this person has to be in this role. And rather than thinking what's best for just the film, again, simplicity, what's best, rather than, oh wow, I really love this scene. There's a saying that's like, in, like, the Hollywood writer world, that's find your favorite line in the script and delete it, because that's the thing that's going to hinder you, is if you're married to something. So I like that. If the biggest thing is just, like, I can't stress simplicity enough, and just being open-minded, because I've seen so many freakouts from even just professional people, or people you've really looked up to, and they're like, why are they freaking out about this one line or this something? It's like nobody else, it doesn't matter to anybody else but them. And that's what you really kind of need to take to heart, is obviously it's all about teamwork, whether you want it or not. If majority rules, go with that, and just stay the course. So,
I mean, that's kind of like something that you're looking at, not just being one person's voice and, like, one person's story to tell, but, like, collectively, what's the thing other people need to hear. And just not being an ass. Yeah, it goes a long way in every industry you can imagine. It's not unique to acting.
Nothing will get you fired faster than having a big head. So
I know given the nature of the industry, you're like always working on projects that you can't talk about, but is there anything that you have coming up that you are able to share about?
Yeah. So I did a tornado movie that filmed actually parts of here and mostly in Wichita. It's called 13 Minutes. It has some more famous people that you and I would recognize more so than your students. But I did a Hallmark movie that'll be coming out. It's very cookie cutter Hallmark, guys, so don't give me too much crap on it. But and then there's, I don't know if any of you have seen the show Dirty John. It was based off a podcast. The first season had Eric Bana and what's her name from American Horror Story. But the second season will be a completely different story arc. But it has Christian Slater and Sarah Paulson in it, and I'll be in a couple episodes of the second season of it, which will be on USA. I can't say too much more about that one, other than it takes place in the 60s, and we shot it on the Universal lot, which was super cool. If you guys are ever in LA, take the tour tram ride. It's pretty awesome, where you can see all of the backlot filming equipment and everything from like Psycho to Jaws and Back to the Future. So it was cool to be like on this lot, being like, oh my gosh, like this is where they had the Ghostbusters singing or something. So it's pretty cool whenever you're able to work in those big studios.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, thanks a bunch for coming out.
Yeah.
And this has been like really fun for me, like getting to talk with you here. I know the students will enjoy it too. So just before we close out though, is there anything you'd like to share with the students, for people that are wanting to have, similar careers to yours, or just like anything in the industry?
Yeah. As you guys probably know, you don't have to move out to LA to do this. I personally love LA. I love the culture of it. I love the history of film. But you guys are fortunate enough to have somebody like Mr. Campbell who can, did that die on you?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But who can teach you these here, which I really wish that I had more of. If you want to come out to LA, I hope you're welcome to share my information.
Cool.
Please reach out to me. I'm happy to help with whatever I can. And again, can't stress it enough, just keep it simple and just have a good attitude. That'll get you a long way.
Again, thank you so much for being here. For those of you that want to check out some of James's work, check out his IMDb page, and a lot of those titles are going to be on Netflix and Amazon, so you can watch those there. And as always, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, it only matters that you start.
Thanks, guys.